Hello there, good Thursday evening, and thank you for joining us on Rwanda Television News tonight. We are glad to have you being part of us and having your company. This is what is coming up on our edition tonight. On Thursday, President Paul Kagame received Sylvan Adams, owner of Israel Premier Tech, and the delegation. Israel Premier Tech is one of the cycling teams that are participating in the ongoing Tour du Rwanda 2023 cycling tournament.
The public and private sectors indicates the role of agricultural production in coping with price fluctuations on the domestic market, while the latest figures for 2022 shows an inflation of 13.9% in 2022 from 0.8% in 2021.
Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us on Rwanda Television News. My name, as always, is Sam Kalisa.
And mine, Martina Avera.
How are you doing, Martina?
I'm very good. How are you doing tonight?
Very great.
Are you ready to start us off?
Of course, yes.
All right.
Right, as we kick it off, let us inform you that on Thursday, President Paul Kagame met with Dan Saliko, Vice Chairman of Public Sector and a Global Co-Heads of Infrastructure Finance and Advisory Group at JP Morgan Venture Capital and the delegation to discuss investment opportunities available in Rwanda. Also on Thursday, President Paul Kagame met Sylvan Adams, owner of Israel Premier Tech, and the delegation. Israel Premier Tech is one of the cycling teams that are currently participating in the ongoing Tour du Rwanda 2023 cycling tournament. Over to you, Martina.
Yes, and now let's talk about the public and private sectors indicating the role of agricultural production in coping with price fluctuations on the domestic market, while the latest figures for 2022 shows an inflation of 13.9% in 2022 from a 0.8% in 2021. Adam Squizera has the report.
In various markets in Kigali City, some traders and consumers expresses their concern over the fluctuation of market prices. Currently, there is price fluctuation, as that sometimes there is inadequate commodities, as that you may find that its cause are the low agricultural productivity, like this inadequate of production of goods, such as rice, which you find are caused by this inflation. I'm not supposed to be buying potatoes of 500 francs. There is no way I could be earning 2,000 per day, which is equivalent to 4 kilos. We request the government to increase efforts in agriculture production. In addition to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and the war between Russia and Ukraine, some private sector actors have repeatedly pointed to the problem of inadequate agricultural production as a direct contributor to the increase in prices on the domestic markets.
Based on this dialogue of price inflation regarding to agricultural commodities, to avoid that issue of having high increase of price on the market, because as we know, in the industry that I'm working with in hospitality, people come in the restaurant to have food, even in the household level, everyone needs to eat. To avoid that high increase of price on the market on food commodities, there is an investment regarding the agriculture investment. For example, in irrigation infrastructure has to be maintained and then get well protected, so we can maintain the production. When we maintain the production on the all period of season, then the price will not go higher because we have enough production.
The chief economic in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Hitayezu Patrick, also notes on the roles of strategies and policies that the government has set to fight this inflation. I think you know that the government set some measures to fight the price speculations and controlling price as well. In general, the government collaborated with the Monetary Policy Committee in order to control unconditional increase in price. I think there was something which would have happened if those policies were not set.
zibirwanya.
Recently, the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda indicated a comparison between 2022 and 2023 Consumer Price Index, which mainly indicates the increase of 2.1% on monthly basis, where this increase was mainly due to the Fresh Products Index, which was increased by 3.6%. The Rural Consumer Price Index indicates the increase of 38.8% on annual basis, while the Urban Consumer Price Index increased by 20.7% in January 2023 compared to the same month of 2022. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for the report. And as we move ahead, the National Umushyikirano Council that was held in December 2019 adopted 12 resolutions, with the 9th calling for more classrooms to be built in order to reduce overcrowding in Rwandan schools. Despite the National Umushyikirano Council of this year 2023 coming or on the way, and is scheduled to take place on Monday and Tuesday, after 3 years, this has not been solved. We do have the detailed report with Olive Nete.
3 years have passed since the 17th National Umushyikirano Council, which was held in December 2019. Of the 12 resolutions adopted, the 9th was related to accelerating the construction of schools in order to reduce overcrowding and to reduce the burden of making long distances to school. So far, more than 27,000 classrooms have been built. The government has also increased the amount of money allocated for school meals, and currently it pays 8,000 Rwandan francs per child, and 950 Rwandan francs is provided by parents, an act appreciated by students and their parents.
Because now I get fed at school, I no longer walk a long way, but now all is good here to GS Busanza. It contributed to avoid the school dropout, since there were some students who come from low-income families where to afford meal was not easy. But now, today students get lunch at school and later they can be having supper at home.
Improving the quality of education was also associated with improving the quality of life of the teacher, an activity that pleased various teachers that used to teach a big number of students in one classroom.
Even in other categories, there have been some increase of salary, plus increasing the budget in Mwalimu Sacco, where now we can even request for loans. Meanwhile, the government means a lot in the education sector.
The 7th of those 12 resolutions focused on accelerating the effort to establish early childhood development centers in all countries' villages and improving the skills of those who work in those centers to provide better services. Dr. Gaspar Gapari, an education expert, says that progress has been made in these 3 years.
Additional thing is that nursery schools also kicked off the school feeding. It's an advantage to those kids who are eligible to attend nursery schools, since they are aware that the food they will be supposed to take from home, they will instead take it from school.
According to the statistics gathered last year, overcrowding in primary and secondary schools was between 50 and 55 students per classroom, even though there are some schools with 70 students per class, while the standard number is 46 students per class. The Minister of Education, Dr. Wamaria Valentine, points out that the program to build more schoolrooms across the country has significantly reduced overcrowding in schools. She also notes that the school feeding program in primary and secondary schools led to the increase in number of students due to the low cost of meals. When you count by one student, you understand it's a small amount of money. But when you sum up and bring everything together, it's where you see the profit. The second thing is that it goes with capacity, which we can't forget to point on. Because before we harmonized the school fees to 900, there were some parents out there who were burdened with that high amount. And that was one of the factors that contributed to school dropouts. Because those who were not able to pay school fees were expelled. I think you understand that it is a journey. In the National Umushyikirano Council, scheduled to happen on the 27th and the 28th of this month, an evaluation will be carried out to see if those 12 resolutions made in the last Council of 2019 were implemented. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Oli, for that report. Now, some members of various cooperatives say that it's poor management of these cooperatives benefits leaders of these cooperatives. Only Olive Nete has more.
Residents say that they joined various cooperatives in an effort to receive benefits that they were unable to receive when they were all working independently. They say that the poor management of some of these cooperatives remains a problem.
Most of the times we do not understand each other. Sometimes leaders take our money and use it in their own interest, and our savings go in vain.
Sometimes I really think that we do not know the real meaning of cooperatives, because most of the times they say a member is allowed to have certain benefits, yet the leaders restricts people to benefit from them. Many of those cooperatives stopped their activities for a while now due to its poor management. Some of the motorcyclists say that they don't even want to reestablish those cooperatives as long as the issues that led to its destructions are still persistent.
The cooperative is of motorcyclists, but it does not benefit us in any way. Instead of belonging to those cooperatives, we would rather contribute 5,000 each month and use that money in doing various activities such as constructing roads, constructing schools from the same money, but these cooperatives are not beneficial at all.
The acting Director General of the Rwanda Cooperative Agency, Pacifique Mugwaneza, points out that they are working closely with these cooperatives to improve their performance. They are all allowed to call the General Assembly. Various levels of cooperatives are structured in the public sector. We trained all of those cooperatives, and we said that if there is any issue of injustice in the cooperative, they must directly report to the head of cooperatives at the sector. Regarding the members of the cooperatives of motorcyclists, the Director General of RCA also points out that they continue to work with them closely to avoid further inconveniences that may cause injustice to some people. Because there was a new formed cooperative, they destroyed the other one that usually existed and then divided the shares among themselves. And we do have those reports. You can even ask them at various working places. When you invest, you must be prepared to benefit or get losses. And the responsibility of the liquidator is to do reports showing their benefits and losses so that they may know how to divide their shares among themselves. In Rwanda, there are over 11,000 cooperatives, bringing together 5,300,000 people who perform various tasks for the benefit of their members. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. Moving ahead, citizens living in steep mountains of Butare and Geye sectors in Rusizi district appreciate the newly initiated project that provides them with trees holding their soil, as well as Ruhwa River that causes soil erosion. Prince Manzi has more.
This mountainous region is usually rainy, and some mountains lack trees as residents cut them off for farming. These citizens say that this destruction of the environment was due to poor mentality, but it has affected them highly, as they explain.
The challenge usually was the poor mentality, as we saw trees as of no importance in our farms, and the effects we had is that when we planted crops, they would fail to grow due to how fertilizers were eroded. After having a sponsor that provides them with trees with the aim of fighting soil erosion, these citizens say that it is their role to preserve them. This is a good project, and these trees that we planted today, we will preserve them as we now know the importance of trees. This program was initiated by Nature Rwanda, a non-government organization. Ken Mwathe, an environmental expert working with Nature Rwanda and BirdLife International, commends Rwanda's efforts in preserving the environment, but states that there is still a lot to do.
I think Rwanda is a leader in many aspects, and I think when Rwanda takes the lead in a certain issue, the other countries follow. But I think there's still a lot that requires to be done, especially around restoration. I think there are lots of areas that are degraded and areas that are very hilly and very slopey, where people really cannot be able to get a livelihood because the soils, there's landslides and floods and climate change, and that affects their livelihoods. So I think there is still more that can be done. Rwanda is a leader. I think there's still a lot that requires to be done. And as civil society organizations, we are ready to work together so that these issues can be identified together with the people and appropriate interventions can be put in place so that the local communities can be helped. One of the most important things is working with the local leaders, and we've seen the Vice Mayor here and all the other leaders, and we'll continue working with Nature Rwanda and all these leaders to ensure that these local communities are helped.
The Vice Mayor of Rusizi District in charge of economic development, Ruwinda Gijimana Munyemanzi, requests citizens to preserve these trees and appreciate these sponsors, as this was one of the major challenges of the district. We would like to request citizens to preserve these trees and put terraces in their farms as they are steep to prevent soil erosion. 300,000 trees are expected to be planted in this 5 years project of mixing trees and crops. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Prince, for that report. Some of the Rubavu district residents demonstrate that taking care of mental health patients is essential for their healing journey and their development. Prince Manzi continues.
In an art school, we found 53 patients with mental health issues, and they demonstrated their different achievements. I made a vase in cement, detoured it with decorations.
This is what teacher Claude taught us, and I memorized it and then made a postcard.
For not letting them quarantine, as well as following up on their mental health development, it helps these patients to feel not abandoned, and they can also play part in societal development activities. I do know how to cook and cook well. I know how to use cooking gas, and I can clean and cook kawunga. Taking care of the mental health patients has improved thanks to the availability of better services, as from 2021, in 9 health centers in Rubavu district, there was introduction of nurses specified in taking care of these patients daily, but there is still a challenge of mental health patients that fell sick in their homes. The Gisenyi Hospital Administration states that consulting doctors early contributes into healing this disease. Some are consulted here at the hospital and others are not. And what we request the society is to understand the fact that the mental health is a disease like other diseases and it can be cured, but it requires collaboration of us all. Let us not take these people as mad, instead take them to hospitals and follow up on them. Statistics from the Gisenyi Hospital demonstrates that at least 870 patients with mental health issues were consulted in the hospital as well as in health centers. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Some employees and students say that having a platform that connects employees with job seekers is among the factors that can assist in reducing unemployment in the country. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the University of Tourism and Business Studies launched a digital platform that will connect job seekers and employers in Rwanda and around the world.
Maniragwa Lazaro, a resident of Kigali City, currently works as a marketing officer. He reveals some of the challenges faced after graduating from school before finding a job.
When I graduated, there were so many things that I didn't even think that I could face, including linking myself to the people or to the employers. I thought that I had enough and adequate capacity to match with the sector or the industry outside. But when I reached there, for sure, I really had the potential, but what was lacking, it was the bond, someone who could bridge me to or network me to the people needing the employees.
On Wednesday, the University of Tourism and Business Studies, in partnership with other various partners, launched a project entitled Innovative Digital Platform, which aims at bridging the gap between academia and industry by connecting university graduates and other job seekers with employers. According to William Mudahemuka, the project team leader, this project will assist in a number of ways.
There is a mismatch between academia and industry, where we are producing the outputs. I mean, the academic industry, we are producing the outputs that are not matching with what is needed on the market. Our platforms, it is going to have a depository for different research that are conducted from different academic institutions and research institutions. And those research findings are going to inform us how to develop the software. So the software is going to provide a real solution because it was developed based on the needs assessment according to what is needed in the market.
Some of the students and vice-chancellors see a promising future in such projects that aims to reduce unemployment rate in the youth.
I'm hoping this is something much bigger than UTB. This is something for all the universities and for all students. So you don't have to ask your rich uncle who lived in Kigali and was working in past generations in the Ministry of Local Affairs, local government, to ask his friends to find a job for Bob, who's out there in the village with a graduate degree but doesn't have a job. That's where I think this particular project will be innovative and cutting edge.
According to Musenera Abdu, a labor market analyst at the Rwanda Development Board, this project will serve as a solution to solve existing challenges.
This platform is going to help us on one hand maybe to make sure that what's being maybe taught at the university and at various levels is responding to the needs of the labor market. And then second, this is going to help us to bridge a gap or maybe address that issue of information asymmetry between the job seekers and the employers. And from the experience with what we've been doing, if maybe you train graduates based on the feedback that you receive from the employers, this is more sustainable and this guarantees jobs to most of those people who have maybe been trained based on the feedback that was received from the employer.
According to the National Institute of Statistics, the unemployment rate declined to 16.5% as compared to 23.8% recorded in 2021. Olive Nete, RTV News.
And on behalf of the entire news production as well as the entire technical team, thank you for being with us on this edition of Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And I'm Martina Herrera.
And up until next time,
stay safe
and have a good evening.